Hi there, my name is Troy Kinsey. For this Coffee Thoughts video, we thought we'd discuss a short but important topic pertinent to service management, public speaking. So I wrote my guidebook, Practical Service Management, to help leaders improve and mature service organizations, and I've also included some ideas that individuals can use to become more effective leaders and coaches. Unfortunately, employees and leaders seldom receive proper training and coaching in some key areas to help them succeed. So for example, what soft skills does a successful leader need? How do you lead effective team meetings? How do you address team conflict? And how do you speak confidently in public? This last topic is a popular one that seems to receive the most interesting guidance. For example, most of us have heard the familiar advice to just imagine your audience naked. For me, the only thing worse than facing 200 plus people to discuss a topic I'm only vaguely familiar with or a topic I really don't care much about would be to do so in front of a bunch of naked colleagues. Tips like this generally don't work and worse are or can be counterproductive. Now, I understand the principle, try to see your audience as if they're on equal terms with you. And in reality, of course they are. Regardless of anyone's title or position, it should go without saying that no one is quote unquote better than you. Your ideas and your perspectives are unique and should be valued. It's just that sometimes it's difficult to see it this way when you think that your audience may hold the keys to your working future in their hot hands. In my experience, the best presentations that I've given to large audiences really come down to a couple of common elements that we'll discuss. First and foremost, I was keen to impart whatever knowledge I had to convince or educate the audience. I was passionate about the topic, and it was important to me that they quote unquote get it. When I deliver a successful presentation, typically it's because I'm so caught up in the topic that I'm much more focused on whether the audience understands and whether I'm getting my point across than how I might sound or look. And I truly believe that really is the key. Find something that you're passionate about, discussing whatever that may be, and identify the key points that you really want to get across. Fundamentally, if you're speaking to a group of people, you're there to impart your knowledge. They wouldn't have asked you to speak if they didn't feel that you had an interesting perspective to share, typically. This means that most of your audience is there to learn something from you. Now, those that are there because they have to be aren't going to care really either way because they're either multitasking, thinking about the laundry they need to pick up that afternoon, or otherwise focus on something else entirely. So let's try not to worry about them for now. Those individuals, instead, let's focus on those who are there to listen to what you have to say. Now, I don't know if this helps you or not, but for me it helps because I know to focus on content. Now, I have a lot of practice with public speaking, but I also get nervous at times in front of large groups, whether it's in person or via video. The challenge is that public speaking is not something that we can or should avoid, especially as a leader or aspiring one. We represent our team and customers, so our ideas really must be heard. Also, in order to continue to mature as leaders, we simply must become comfortable talking in front of others. Now, this doesn't just mean giving presentations, but sharing your ideas openly in any individual or group setting. Meeting with other leaders, meeting with your team, meeting with colleagues, vendors, and anyone regardless of rank or role. And once we start looking at public speaking as opportunities to impart knowledge, it becomes a lot easier and actually can even become fun, enjoyable. Now, some of us are already perfectly comfortable speaking in public, but undoubtedly you're going to have at least one person on your team who's not comfortable doing so, not comfortable speaking publicly. It's important that you provide guidance to those who could benefit from your experience. So here are some tips that have worked for me in the past. So presenting to a large online audience, so scenario one. Imagine you're sitting in front of your computer screen. So you've just logged in to Zoom or Skype or Teams or any other online video communications tool. So you're scheduled to present shortly, and you watch as a participant counter climbs from 10 to 16, 28, 57. Screen full of faces stares back at you waiting, and after a brief introduction, it's going to be your turn to present. You feel your heart start to beat faster. Are you ready? How will you come across? How's everyone going to perceive you? What if you get nervous? What if you clam up and forget and can't even speak? So you start to sweat uncontrollably, your throat goes dry, you get the message. The seconds tick by as time goes near, and it becomes your turn. Well, so first off, at the end of the day, you have control over what you see on the screen. So sure, oftentimes the screen will default to a sea of faces, but you can change this so that you're only seeing a few faces at a time. Or even better, most online conferencing software enables users to do what's called pinning an individual. By pinning, I mean selecting a setting so that you're just looking at one person at a time. And this can be your boss, assuming that they're supportive. If not, pick a positive colleague or the next presenter, and then just talk to that one person. So no one needs to know, and really, at the end of the day, no one's going to be the wiser. So trust me on this. I used to use this idea with a colleague who was terrified of presenting online. I had him pin my image, and then I simply smiled and nodded throughout his presentation. So in the end, he was essentially just talking to me and not the 160, 70 people or so online. Just make sure you practice outside of any meeting. All right, next, public introductions. So you're sitting in a room full of strangers, but not leading the meeting. You're just one of the 15, 20 or more participants. So the meeting starts, and the person leading the meeting, standing in front of the room, announces at the beginning of the meeting, so with those that are there, with those familiar words, let's start by going around the room and introduce ourselves to each other. Alrighty. So at the end of the day, I've heard from several other leaders who at one time or another dreaded the "tell us a bit about yourself" speech. There's something about this that just is simply awkward. And I worked for an organization, actually, that would hold town halls with over 200 individuals and would ask new people to stand up and introduce themselves without previously warning them, no less. So for those who fear public speaking, this can be a terrifying experience. Now, at this point in my career, I really had no problem doing so, but I still found it a little bit odd and, to be honest, just a bit inhumane. It was as if the leader was purposely trying to rattle newcomers, which is not nice. Now, if you know you're gun shy when it comes to public speaking, my suggestion is to prepare in advance something so you always have a go-to response. So here's some tips to help you out. First off, so you're called on in a large group, take a deep breath. You might even try a short laugh. And this is going to give you a moment to collect yourself and breathe in a full lung full of air. Now, this is going to help your body and your mind relax a little bit. And if you can, spread out your arms as if to stretch. I used to always have a go-to statement as well for this question. So it went something like this. I've worked for both the business and IT side of the house for over 20 years, helping to improve operational support and service management. I'm excited about the opportunities we have here, and that's it. Keep in mind it doesn't have to be long or detailed or perfect, just something hopefully relatively coherent. Another tip that I found useful is to actually hold something in my hand like a dry erase pen. Maybe this is just because I'm used to teaching various size teams and it helps me get in the right frame of mind. It's distracting, but only just enough. Now the trick is to take some of the attention off of your audience and again, focus on your message. Okay, so the next is fear of sharing in a team setting. So here's another scenario. You, or it could be one of your employees, are in a strategy session with your colleagues. So you have some great ideas to share, but you feel as if you came across last time as awkward when you tried to do so. So are you going to be able to share your ideas confidently this time? You're prepared, but are your ideas even worthwhile? Will others respect you and your ideas? So the time comes for you to share your perspective. Any other ideas? The person leading the meeting asks. And the seconds tick by. Should you respond with your ideas or questions or just remain quiet? So again, first off, don't wait until your name is called or until it's your turn on the agenda before you speak. Start up a conversation or ask a question at the very beginning of a meeting in general terms. And this gets your voice heard, breaks the tension before it even starts. And when it becomes time for you to speak, don't memorize what you have to say, but practice your message. What are the key talking points you're trying to get across? And actually, to that end, I find that writing up and using key talking points helps. Present the material differently each time you're practicing. Remember, it's not the words, it's the message. If you focus on the words or memorizing what you're going to say, you're likely not going to remember when a moment of high stress comes along. So the last idea is remake yourself. So it's never too late to remake who you are. I was really shy and quiet in high school and cared considerably about what other people thought, and I joked my way through awkward situations. And when I first started my first year in college in the dorms and everywhere else, no one knew who I was, of course. So walking down the dorm hall during that first week and looking at the silly things people put on their door, a curious thought crossed my mind. How many of those mementos or decorations that each person bring from home? So it struck me as interesting but understandable that people might want to keep mementos of their life at home and high school, a reminder when they were popular, had positive support system, had a lot of fun. Someone like me who disliked high school immensely and really didn't feel like I fit in or I was the person that I wanted to be. What I decided to do was to change myself. So I acted as if I was popular and confident. And the interesting thing is that people started recognizing and treating me as if I was. The surprising part of all this was it became easier to be outspoken and confident. Act the role and people will treat you that way. When you're shy, people are reluctant to call on you or ask you questions and even sometimes take you seriously. Now, this can actually be applied to anyone in any situation. So give it a try, plan it out, and reinvent yourself. What kind of person do you want to be? So to summarize, the ability to present ideas clearly and confidently to audiences of various sizes and levels of authority is crucial to the success of any leader. In this video, we reviewed various scenarios that can rattle the best leaders and discussed some tips on how to become a more confident speaker to use and impart with your team members as well. In the end, it's all about putting yourself out there. Practice until public speaking becomes yet another valuable tool in your leadership toolkit. So hopefully you found this video informative and useful. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, thank you for your support and for your time. Have a fantastic day. Bye-bye now.